right, welcome back with another video. 12.6.4 hardware 3. Just went past an intersection, wanted to catch that, and we stayed in the lane and didn't switch lanes until we passed the intersection. That is a big improvement from several builds ago. Just wanted to point that out as we start the video. Doing a quick trip, nothing too crazy here. Pretty straightforward drive, potentially a little good highway city drive mix. This is coming as we're getting news on FSD 14 for those hardware 4 folks, and that's starting to roll out, and I'm seeing several videos now of that, which is good to see that there's progress being made. Obviously, for us hardware 3 folks, we'd love to see some upcoming builds here, potentially I won't call it a watered down version of version 13, but something that we can see substantial improvements to the current build here in version 12. So hopefully we'll hear something along those lines in the next few weeks. Until then, I'm still making videos. I'm still recording my experience. I think it's super important just to continue to utilize FSD, even if we've been on a current version for a while. That does not mean things can progress or regress over time. And really now these are typical roads that I take. I think it's more so now just seeing if there's any variances in previous videos and or hesitancy like that I would have nudged the accelerator so we would have just gone through rather than stopping. Stopping's not a bad thing. That's probably what should have happened, but I probably still would have nudged it to get through the light. But yeah, just checking out and seeing any variances. And then also too, just as you're driving normally, there's always some sort of surprise, whether it's someone cutting someone else off and FSD having to react to that, or, construction zones, road closures, all those things. I think those things are important to still document, still report to Tesla, and still talk about, again, even if we're still on the same build from a couple months ago, right? So that's really all this is. I don't expect too much action on this one. Just again to show some folks that are getting into FSD or have been around with FSD, especially with hardware 3, that this is still really good. People will message and comment on the videos and they're like, what's the difference? And obviously I don't have a hardware 4 vehicle. I've driven a few in the past, and what I can say is hardware 4, definitely it's an improvement. I don't think no one's going to deny that that's an improvement. I think the capabilities hardware 4 has, obviously you can expand it and make it better. Hardware 3 is just limited to what you can do, right? But with that being said, at least 90, 92, 93, even 94% of the time, the drives are flawless. And that 6% are issues that I'm aware of and kind of just write off, because I don't know what perfection really looks like. from an FSD standpoint, I can't tell you what perfection in regular human driving looks like. I don't even know if you can reach that. So yeah, I think for me, FSD with hardware 3 is already really, really good. So to see a refined version that be even better, you know, but again, I don't see it as being as large of a gap as what folks are alluding to. Now, again, too, it does matter for your area. I think that's a factor for sure, right? I'm in a more populated area, so maybe my experience is better than those that are more rural, or maybe just don't have as many drivers out there. I'm not sure, but yeah, for me, it's definitely useful. I think it's definitely a large selling point for sure, if it works for you, right? So, but again, this road is a pretty straightforward road. I was going to throw something in the mix here, because typically this is straightforward until we get to the highway. We'll get on the highway for about 3 to 5 minutes and then get off. And that's basically it. What's really funny, you know, when I started my YouTube journey specifically with this vehicle and recording things, this was the main road that I would take. So my first few videos, it'll definitely highlight this road. And so definitely night and day if I look back on those videos. One, just creating content in general, that was scary. Those first couple of videos, that was really bad. But FSD overall is like, again, night and day. So if you want to, definitely check those out, and you can see for yourself. But nice clear day on the warmer side for sure, but nice clear day. The sun is kind of above and behind us, so we won't really run into any scenarios on this trip with direct sunlight. I think that falls into that 6% that I mentioned earlier, where direct sunlight into the camera or the view of the vehicle can cause FSD to kind of disengage, or, you know, alert the driver that they need to take over because it's not visible. There's some sun glare. So that can happen certainly in the mornings. I know several other Hardware 3 folks have reported that, as well as Hardware 4 folks, right? So I think that's an ongoing thing that will continually need to be addressed. But yeah, weather conditions here are ideal, so nothing really affecting us from having a strong drive. Right now we're in the far left lane. I'm in hurry mode, so eventually we will need to get over to the right lane, which we're starting to make that move now in order to get up on this upcoming highway. And really, this is what you want to see, view, and experience is a boring trip. That's really what it boils down to, is you don't want too much action. Again, I am in hurry mode, so I like to see the vehicle maneuver, especially if it can sense another lane is more freed up or open, so that I can kind of move over. But I mean, outside of that, it should be fairly boring. I don't think you're in it to kind of see variances or crazy fluctuations in speed. Another great move there. Again, in those intersections, that was a big deal. And I brought it up several times in some of my earlier videos where FSD would change lanes in the middle of the intersection. And for a lot of areas, that's illegal. So you're not supposed to do that. A lot of other areas, it's like an unspoken type thing, but yeah, it's one of those things where you definitely want to stay in the same lane through the intersection. And once you get past that intersection line, then you can begin to change lanes, right? So again, I was in a situation where we had to get over to the right-hand side. Still, we waited through that light and then made that initiation. So that's great. Another thing, coming up on this on-ramp onto the highway, several folks in the past reported, hey, I'm getting on the highway and I'm coming in hot, like 60, 70 miles plus an hour, right? So they've regulated how that is on ramps and off ramps. So we're starting to kind of pull out, get into the lanes here. Again, we have a mile and a half until our off ramp comes up, so I don't expect us to get all the way in the far left. We should stay here. We may move another lane to the left depending on traffic or whatever, but this is a sweet spot right here, knowing that we're about to get off here in a bit. But again, this is the other piece. This is the transition that I don't think is highlighted enough when we talk about FSD and being able to seamlessly move between city streets and highway and then back to city streets as you're getting off of the highway. A lot of the other self-driving technology manufacturers, whoever, you're limited to highway, right? So once you need to get off the highway, make your descent to the off ramp, you got to take over, right? Whereas here, as we're seeing, you don't have to do anything. It's doing all that. And so for me, and seeing the growth of this, and I have several videos on this street, this off ramp, where it was scary. it wasn't good at first, but the improvements are there, and the ability to get to your destination, hardware 3, and then now as they're rolling hardware, as they're rolling out the latest software, version 14, being able to find a parking spot and park, crazy. And what I will say too, one of the versions, and I can't remember, I do have it documented though, I have it recorded, several of you have commented, they've been testing the parking feature for a while. So a couple versions of this FSD were, able to park the vehicle, and it was pretty good. The few times it did. There's some other times it was like but we got a little sneak peek of it. So it is capable on hardware 3, maybe not as consistently, I'm not sure, but it is capable. So that being said, I'm at the destination. That was it. So definitely let me know your thoughts, what you think overall about FSD, what your experiences are. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll go from there. All right. Thank you again.